Good day. My name is Mads Rotwit. I am the creator of Astucia Wiki, which has been a hobby project for the past 2 months. I started last year, but then laid it to rest, and then I started again a couple of months ago, and I started out with using Google Gemini and then Claude Code to create what you see here today. And I have published Astucia Wiki as open source, and you can see more information at the website astucia.wiki. So I will begin today with the basic features, and then there will be more episodes following on how to use more advanced features such as AI users, AI agents, and MCP servers. And so let's start off with the basic features. The main resource is a Markdown file, Markdown pages, which if you click the edit button up here, you can see this is raw Markdown for those of you who are not familiar with Markdown. And if you click the help button here, there is also a link to a Markdown reference page. And you can see the basic commands, the most commonly used Markdown commands are available here at the toolbar. But you will quickly become familiar with it. So these are all raw text files stored in the file system. There's no database behind. And you can also insert some metadata that will be server-side rendered when the pages are converted from Markdown to HTML when you save the page, and it's rendered dynamically before being presented to you. And you can insert, for example, here the contents of other pages. So let's include another page I prepared, page footer, and it's always good practice in Markdown to have a blank space between sections. Some Markdown parsers, most Markdown parsers prefer that. So you can see here, if I choose save, then the contents of this footer file here is included. So you can see this is the contents, and which it's basically just a line. And here you can see the example that you can mix HTML and Markdown. So this is a good example of that. It's also nice to know. So I click cancel here. And then I realized that, the footer should have been in the bottom. So I just choose inline mode, click edit, and here you can edit one section at a time. So if I click the footer here that is included, I can just move it down here, and then I can save the page. And then you see it down here. You can also attach files, and here I already attached a file of a dog. So when you're editing a page, let me just choose classic mode here. And then I click insert here, image. I can then choose from the files that are attached to the page. And then when I click save, you can see here that this image is displayed, and it's also it's saved along with the Markdown page in the file system, and then rendered afterwards. So it's not embedded directly in the page. Yeah, and you can add tags. So we can add a tag dog, and we can also add a tag called main. And we'll go through that a little bit later. So these are the basics of Markdown pages. So let's go to chats. And you create new resources up here, sorry, in the left menu. And I already created a chat. I called it product ideas. And chats are just JSON files. So everything is it's Markdown and JSON, except for the diagrams. I think they are XML, but it's all file-based, no database. And here you can see I prompted, because this is a demo site and I'm the only user, but I then have some AI users added. But there will be a separate episode on AI users and how to configure them and use them in an optimal way. So we will not go into details about that. But here you can see I'm having a conversation with Thor. And I can just quickly show you that Thor is an Anthropic API, and we will go into details with that later. So it's just to show you that I'm chatting here with Thor, because you're chatting with AI bots the same way that you're chatting with other users. But in order to have the users functionality, you also require to configure that, and there will also be a separate episode about that. But here you can see I asked Thor if he had any ideas on how to improve the main page. And then I will explain it in another episode that how does Thor know where the main page is and how to read it and find it. But Thor did an analysis of the main page and brought some suggestions, and I said, yeah, please go ahead. And because it knows the context, the last 10 messages, that will be sent to the LLM, so it has the full picture, and that's something that you can configure and customize. And there will be a separate episode, like I said, about AI users. This was actually to demonstrate the chat, but since I'm the only user on this side, we are chatting with the AI user. So you can see here that the main page was updated by Thor. Yeah. So you can see that it was a complete remake of this main page. So that was briefly about chats. There are some, if you type / you have different command options. You can purge the chat, keep the last, for example, 10, 20 messages, or if you put purge 0, it will delete all messages in this chat. You can use /topic if you want to put a sticker in the top about what this chat is about. And the /new topic is to tell the AI, any AI user you reference here and ask about something that now you have to make a clean slate and only use the chat messages from that point on for the context. And you can put /me if you just want to add a comment that is just displayed but not processed in any way. So yeah, so we just put looks good, and then it just comes in here, displayed here, and yeah, and then you can pin a message up in the top. This might be a little big to pin, but now you can pin it up in the top here, and you can also put emojis, comments on messages. So that was the basics with chats. Then we have diagrams, and you insert them by choosing new diagram, and it will create an empty draw.io diagram. And here, to save us a little time, I created one to start with, and because you can use this as a template, I'll just show you how the draw.io editor works flawlessly within Astucia Wiki. So I can put some wireframe mockup items here, like this, and then update there. And then when you save the diagram, let's align it. You save the diagram here and exit, then an SVG file is automatically generated. So this is the draw.io display form, but if you go to a page and you want to insert this diagram, let's put it up here in the top. So I'll just make a little space there, and then I say insert diagram, and then you can see this page that we just, this diagram that we just updated, and I save. And then it will render the SVG version of the diagram into the page. And we'll get to templates later. So those are diagrams. They're really useful. You can make a, what you call it, a base a reference if you have many wireframes or mockups in a project, or you have some a basic way you want sequence diagrams or workflows to look like. You can create a template and just reuse it over and over again and have a consistent look everywhere. And then you can easily insert it into Markdown pages. Yeah. Next on the list here is lists, and list is just a a name because I thought mostly of SharePoint lists, so that's why I called it list. But it's basically data tables, and these are for now very basic. And I'm thinking of implementing a JavaScript library that would enable inline editing. But they're really simple. You can choose different column types. So there is a single line of text, multi-line text, a date, or a choice. We can see some examples here. So favorite color, for example, is defined as a choice. And you can create different views, for example, here. So when we look at the properties of this filter, it says favorite color red. So you can create different views, you can sort the columns, you can tell which columns to be shown in a view. So for simple list, it's quite powerful. And you can also insert the contents of a list in a Markdown page. So if we go back to our main page and we choose edit again, and then we go under the diagram we inserted, and then we say list, and then we can see context here, and then I get to choose between the views. So if we take the view that is filtering, so only items with red are shown, it will be that view you can see here, that part of the view of that list that is shown. So it's quite powerful. It's very, very simple, but quite powerful. And next topic is browsing. And you can see to the left here, it's by default, it's tree view layout. So if I create a folder for structure, ideas, and then in here I create a new page, idea number 1. Then you can see here that it's using a tree layout, tree view. But if I click tree, it will switch to folder view, which is really good if you have many folders and you have many documents. And some people prefer this folder browsing, a single level at a time, and some people like the tree views. But you can switch easily. And if you go to search, there's actually the next topic here. If you go to search, you can see there's a tag cloud. And this tag cloud actually goes beyond all spaces, so you can create many spaces, and these tags are for across all spaces. And for searching, you can also choose if you want to just search the current space or all spaces. And you also have the option to use a little tiny database for full text indexing, which makes the search very fast across a million pages if you have that many one day, because the normal search is searching through JSON files, which will become slow at a certain point if you have many pages. Then you have the recent list, and you can also switch to other spaces here. It's the recent list across spaces that you have access to. But there will be different episodes about users and access rights. And then you have a favorites page. So if I take the main page and click up here, it will appear in the favorites list here. And then templates, I mentioned it before. I will just illustrate how easy it is. So you can see here, I already copied this the page mainframe wireframe here, but if I make a new diagram or I make a new version, for example, for other purposes, you see this one is different. It's just a matter of clicking up here and they say copy, and then you simply choose the templates folder, and then we can call it page wireframe 2 and use that as a template. And that means if when I go out back in the root here and say new diagram, you can see that I can choose page wireframe 2 as a template. And that's it for today. This was the first episode. Many more will come. And in the next episodes, I will give you an introduction to large language models, because Astucia has this capability built in, and thus AI users, how you can customize them and have them for different use cases, different purposes, how you can configure them, and the same with AI agents. And then the next step will be how to interact with MCP servers, so you have a full AI setup, which is really powerful because you have all your documents inside the wiki, and you can work with inside the wiki. You can ask your AI users to create pages, to find various pages with specific tags, etc., etc. So there are endless possibilities. So this was the first episode. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you again.